Please welcome David Sandoval, who's the community lead at Visible Wireless. His title is self-descriptive. He's the one who helped build this program, and he's going to tell us how they did it and what they've learned from it. David?
All right, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here to talk a little bit more about what we're doing at Visible. By show of hands, how many people here are part of a company or own a company that has an online community strategy, including social media? Show of hands. All right, we're definitely in a room full of marketers. Great. Second question. Do you have a community that's housed on your site? Anyone? Thank you. Last question. Do you have a line of communication directly to your top influencers and back to the company? He knows what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. That's essentially what we're discussing today. A lot of times in marketing and in brand building, we're looking at all the data, looking at all the information, trying to figure out how to attack our target market and how to best utilize and leverage community. A lot of times what we overlook is just simply asking the question directly to your customers. What do you need? What are you looking for? What can we do better that we're not doing today? But before we get down that path, let me explain a little bit more about who we are as Visible. Visible is an all-digital phone carrier, challenging the legacy business model of telcos. We have no brick-and-mortar stores, only an app. We're also a hybrid carrier, which means that we're in that niche space between prepaid and postpaid and enjoy the benefits of both. A no-contract, subscription-based model. We're also made to be accessible, which means that you download the app, you put in your information, and you're ready to go. We're also powered by Verizon, which means, unlike traditional MVNOs and prepaid carriers, we don't lease the space or rent the space on the towers. We're part of the family, so we enjoy the network advantage that comes with that. This informs our mission of reimagining what wireless should be. Radically simple, fundamentally accessible, and audaciously inclusive, with the vision to become the most loved brand of the digital generations, which is a lofty goal, because when you think about your telco provider, you only contact them when something's going wrong, right? But it's grounded in our values of transparency, connection, community, innovation, impact, and fun. We started in 2018 with the objective of providing an affordable, unlimited smartphone plan, leaning into the technology of eSIM, and mobilizing those voices in our community forums. We also wanted to spotlight our market differentiation. We're the only prepaid carrier that offers Apple Watch as part of your subscription. And if you want to tell more people about Visible, you get a referral code. So you can give 20 to get 20 on your subscription service. And if you still think it's too good to be true, you get a free trial to test drive before you buy. We even launched our new Visible and Visible Plus plans this year. Traditionally, we only had one price point at $40 a month. We introduced a price reduction and also a new tier for our power users who want everything and more. But being an all-digital phone service has its own challenges, especially in the face of fierce competition. And we knew that we had to cut through the noise. One of the ways we wanted to do this was through our community. We had the vision to enhance the member experience by connecting like-minded individuals that love the Visible brand. We did this because we saw a few industry trends, and we wanted to create a thriving community. Digital self-service took off during the pandemic. If you have an Amazon box at your front door every day, then you know what I'm talking about there too. We also wanted to create a zero-touch solution, which community can be. And when you tap into those voices, you can spark new product ideas. This would result in a thriving community we set out to make. Harvard Business Review says it the best in one of their articles called Community is an Advantage. If a company can transition from simply delivering a product to building a community, it will create the ideal business model. This is because members will help get other members, and when you're part of a community, you're less likely to leave. And then finally, the members support each other. So this all results in real impact to the business. increasing your gross margins by reducing your acquisition costs. With all this information, we were off to the races, and we set out to build an in-house community. Last year, we launched it, and I was brought in to build the strategy. I looked at 3 objectives. I wanted to fine-tune and optimize the experience in our in-house community, creating boards and resources that people would interact with. I also wanted to drive member engagement and drive visible subscribers. We looked at some key KPIs and worked cross-functionally around 4 pillars of management, administration, moderation, and engagement. But let me pause here and talk a little bit about 2 of these KPIs, success rate and care deflection. We survey our members when they come to the community site, and we ask them, did you find what you were looking for? If they answer yes, that percentage of people is our success rate. We also follow up that question with, what would you have done instead? If they answer they would have contacted care, that's care deflection. And we use these as some benchmarks and percentage rates of what's going on in our community. And this is all driven by the members. If you're unfamiliar with how community or community forums operate, somebody will post a topic, it creates a thread where other people can comment. If the author sees some of these answers as satisfactory, they can mark it as an accepted solution. Once they mark it as an accepted solution, that locks the conversation. And as web crawlers and search engines look at our site, this indexes really well, which you'll see in some of the results. And this is because when you think about asking a question, many of you may have right now just pulled up your phone or your laptop and Googled Visible. We ask those questions in a very similar way to how our members are posting those conversations in our threads. And so as a result, our SEO shoots up, as you can see here. 70% of our traffic is from search, organic, earned, because of the comments and posts that are going on in the community. In year 1, these were our results. We saw massive increase in our views, our visits, unique visitors, again, 70% from search traffic, averaging about 894 posts a month from our members. We were able to use our benchmarks of care deflection, success rate, all the visits, and estimated that we're saving care about $34,000 a month. Now, I know this is more of a bottom funnel discussion, but when you think about how people interact with a brand, they're asking questions, they're looking for reviews, they're trying to find confirmation that they made a good decision. So while we might be also the first touch, we're sometimes that supportive touch in the buy flow. But these results would not have been possible if it wasn't for a secret ingredient, our SuperUser program. Early on, I realized as we launched the strategy, there was an opportunity. How do we drive engagement and user-generated content in our community without becoming a billboard or gimmick? People are very keen nowadays on social media. They know when they're being sold to. But the answer to this was the SuperUser program. It engages the members directly by leveraging the top users' knowledge and their expertise to reward them for their behaviors around brand initiatives. And you might still be thinking, well, we have influencer programs, we have all these other programs, why would we need specifically a SuperUser program? Well, there's a rule of thumb online that many of you already know, and if you don't, it was coined by Will Hill from AT&T Laboratories and later cited by Jacob Nielsen, a renowned researcher from the Nielsen Group, and it states participation inequality. This ratio, 99-1. 90% of people in online communities are browsing or lurking. You might fall into this category. 9% are occasionally contributing, and 1% are your top contributors. Those are your super users. Those are your fanatics. Those are your most critical voices as well. And we started seeing this group emerge in our little sandbox of community. When we built our community out, there was a few key people that started rising to the top, sharing their referral codes, answering questions, advocates of the brand, and they're also very critical of the brand. We kept all those voices on our community boards. As we identified them, I wanted to understand, okay, can I impact change? Not by leveraging the entire community, but by just focusing on these top members so that they could build the content, they could build the resources, and we could start building a knowledge base in the community. So I set out to run a pilot. For 3 months, I was going to engage with these super users. We built a private hub in the community forum. We invited them in, and this is where they could start conversations directly with me. And we also scheduled bi-weekly calls where we would get on the same page and just sort of have a roundtable discussion similar to what we're having today. What we realized was they had a lot of great insight, a lot of ideas that, we started just taking back to the company and taking back to our executives. We even invited some of our colleagues to join in on the calls. And they were able to jump in and ask questions specifically about their channel and gain insights in real time from the members. Now, this was a volunteer program. We didn't say you have to do this, you have to do that. It was free-flowing, great discussion, and it was also very engaging. In those 3 months, we saw these results. We closed the program down. I said, we're going to keep in touch, but I got to see what happened. Right away, we saw in our help forum a 68% increase in activity. This is where everyone's asking questions, getting answers, putting those accepted solutions. We saw a decrease in times to first reply, and that's important because when you think about going to a site and asking a question, if you don't get an answer fairly quickly, you're probably never going to go to that site again. So the minutes to first reply were key. We also saw an increase in accepted solutions, and the most jarring stat that I saw when I pulled the data are top users. These members that were already the most active, their particular activity in the community increased 525%. This was pushing the community forward. This was building that knowledge base and building that interactivity without too much corporate jargon, too much corporate posts. And you might think at first glance, this must be a huge investment. This must be something that you have to award them constantly. But no. What we learned was our super users, they were primarily motivated by the intrinsic value in the community of feeling included and feeling a part of the brand. They already believed in what we were doing in our mission, vision, and values. But they also liked interacting with other members and guiding the newbies. The rewards were a plus and could encourage long-term activity, but it wasn't the reason for the program. I also got to know them very well, and this relationship building, that affinity that was created, that attachment to the brand, as I was talking to them every other week, we started understanding not only what they were dealing with as members, but what we could be doing better as a company. So I'll pose the question I said in the beginning, slightly different. If you don't have a super user program now, you might be thinking maybe I should have one. But just imagine, if you could, what you could accomplish by tapping into those voices, those top influencers, those top users, those super users. What kind of ideas would your members help you spark and co-create? And how you would be able to turn community into a real marketing lever. You can find our community at community.visible.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. My name is David Sandoval. Thank you.
I think we have time for a couple of questions. Anybody has any questions for David? Over here. Keep your hand up so I can see it. There you go.
Thank you. I'm Lauren Albin from Gamut, and I was just wondering, because I had not heard of the brand before, who is your target audience, and how are people learning about your brand and what it provides?
Yeah, so Visible's target is the digital native. Think about the person who is comfortable doing everything on an app and self-service. The person who orders an Uber or Uber Eats, watches on Netflix, sets up everything, even their insurance on an app. That's the target market. And what we've seen is that can span not just specific age demographics, it's also the budget-conscious consumer. So those three things are the key points here.
David, what are the key advantages to doing this on your own site versus simply using the social channels that are already built?
Yeah.
And have done the infrastructure for you.
So what's interesting is in social media, we're never going to compete in the same scope as social media. That's not what we're trying to do. But the way our members have phrased it is they like the community we built because it keeps the conversation pure towards the products and what we're talking about. In social media, you have a lot of noise to cut through and a lot of rants. And people are going to those sites not just for your brand, but when you have your own community, you can gauge those metrics in a more focused way because you know they're talking specifically about what you're delivering. For example, our new plans that we launched this year, when that happened, our members mobilized around that and were able to help other members around that specific topic, not another meme that was launched on social media, for example.
David Sandoval, thank you so much. That was really good.
Thank you.